we did this video twice. So there are 2 clips from this video and from a previous video we did. So the video does switch between the 2. So let's just get into the video now. Hi, and welcome to our first ever YouTube video and our first ever podcast, which is so exciting. We're really excited to start it and start it off with a bang. We are Not Broads, and as We Are Not Broads, our vision is to be a community space where young people can have a conversation about gender-based violence and rape culture, and we aim to positively influence the Zimbabwean youth to move together to create a safer environment for gender discrimination and gender-based violence victims. And with that being said, we are the founders of We Are Not Broads. I'm Kira.
I'm Ruby.
I'm Rekendo.
I'm James.
What's up?
Marceline.
Nashe.
Nicole.
I'm Chieta.
I'm Tanaswa. Welcome to our podcast.
Yeah, basically, I think that the best question to start with probably is, why did we start We Are Not Broads? You know?
It's a complicated question. Yeah, Nashe.
I can start. Jokes, Nashe. I'm forgetting to know.
Nashe, you're muted.
You're muted.
Shall. Anyway, so
I think for me it was that it stopped being academic, it stopped being theoretical, it stopped being ideological. It was just me feeling endangered, me feeling hurt, me feeling scared, my friends feeling sad, angry. It invaded our space because it wasn't something that we could ignore anymore, because it was people that we were very close to and interacted very closely with. So I think that when we, my friends and I, when we're going through things, we look for solutions and we thought, what's the problem? People are misinformed, people don't want to learn, people are making excuses. So how do we approach that in the most peaceful way possible? And I think that We Are Not Broads is the baby of us trying to just make things better for ourselves and then make things better for other people as well in the process.
And interacting with a lot of people, especially on Twitter, most of them people our age. I think with lockdown, a lot more people started joining. And I mean, there were already weird comments that we'd see all the time, but it just became so much more real, especially for me, because it was people I knew personally who were saying things that, were major red flags in terms of, just the way they thought about women and women's rights and all that type of stuff. And so, yeah, I think for me, it was wanting more of an environment that encouraged conversation and education rather than Twitter, where people just, shout their opinions at each other through written word. The vibe on Twitter is very much just, this is my opinion, that's your opinion, we're fighting until we block each other. And so I think I kind of wanted an environment that was different from that.
I think for me, it was more because it really came to us during the first lockdown. There was a lot of, as much as we knew they were in my words, but uneducated opinion, certain opinions, it became very, very clear how much wrong there was in the society, because they were just the people that we would surround ourselves with in our societies was saying these things that were of danger to practically us and anyone.
I think even more complete story is taking a look back at, most of us here do literature, and studying books like Tess and Twelfth Night and learn how to analyze society and question how things exist, and also committing to taking actionable steps to making positive changes and attacking the problems we see. So yeah, before someone wants to say, so you guys have started this about Twitter beef, it's not about Twitter beef. It's about seeing a problem and doing what you can to fix it. Yeah.
it was so, I wouldn't say it was shocking, because, bigots and misogynists and people who hate women exist everywhere. But it was a wake-up call that there's people in our own society, people our own age, people who grew up with us, people we hang out with in our social circles, we we interact with almost on a daily basis who could be thinking that, you know, you don't deserve the same rights as them, or you don't deserve the same dignity as them. So like, I feel like one of the main things that drove me was the fact that if we don't fix the problem now, they could actually be a danger to our society as a whole.
For me, and I think many people can relate, like going into this lockdown when everyone's forced to just be by themselves and be more reflective and more, I guess, aware of the way you think and learning the way other people think differently from you. For me, this was a whole like learning. I was learning so much, especially online, like on Twitter. A lot of people coming forth with that Me Too movement, and it really moved me. And a lot of stuff was coming up to the surface that I was pushing to the back of my mind. And it made me realize that I don't have to push such things to the back of my mind. Women should be able to come out and voice things like this. And we need to create an environment where this conversation isn't uncomfortable. And people can come forth and talk about the misogyny and the problems with the patriarchy, especially in Zimbabwe. Like, sorry, the more that I see on Twitter, like the more pessimistic I get.
Mm-hmm.
But I genuinely believe that what we're doing is a step forward, and that makes me feel like I'm doing something, because you can't continuously see something and not do anything about it.
And I guess also around the time that we started the group and the community organization and stuff, I remember that was the time when there were so many stories of girls getting raped and sexually assaulted and at parties, but then no one really ever took them seriously, or like there'd be outrage for a couple of days and then it just blows out. We understand as that has happened. And I guess for me personally, that irritated me, because it's like, that's how it happens with most problems, you know, like something arises and then we kind of just scream and shout for those 5 days or 3 days and then we move on like nothing happened. And I guess starting this group just encourages us to continue fighting the problem. Like it doesn't have to die down after a week or after a couple of days.
Because I agree. I think it wasn't like something that we just sat down and we just decided that, oh, this is a problem. Like these are genuine conversations that we always had. And I think the fact that it was just us just trying to make a practical solution to what we were seeing and saying, you know, we can actually do something about it. We're in a position where we can, you know.
So why do you think that we started anonymously?
Honestly, I think it was largely because of our experience on Twitter. Like, it was one of those situations where someone would say something pertaining to feminism, and then the response was always a picture of that person's face, and then not you talking with the forehead like this, with cheeks like this, with lips like this. And it's like, no, it's not about the shape of my forehead. It's not about how attracted you are to me. It's about my rights as a woman, my safety as a woman, and the things that you perpetuate when you say what you say. And so for us, starting anonymously was more about starting the conversation and not giving them the option of going to that resort in order to avoid talking about it.
People have this thing of shooting the messenger instead of like literally disagreeing with the message.
Exactly.
And like it becomes don't do this, and you don't like address the situation. It's you're ugly. That's why you have a big nose. And you're
exactly. And when you're ugly, you're gully on.
For me, one of the things that got me was that I didn't want people who I wanted people to first like grasp what we were trying to do before they started saying, Nasha stole my boyfriend. That time in Form 3, Nasha took my textbook and she didn't ask. That's what I was like. I really just wanted people to judge the message first before they judged us.
I think just for the record, all of these situations that Nasha just said are imaginary.
They're not
hypothetical.
But guys, but like even if you have stolen boyfriend upon boyfriend, that doesn't change the fact of what we're discussing.
When she said if you look at the message, right, and then you disagree with the message, we can have a discussion about that. We can hold up, it might not be a comfortable environment, but an environment where people can have these discussions, where we can hear both sides of the coin. Because the moment you show your faces, already some people become intimidated and they don't want to say their whole truth.
And there's also
I think there was also the aspect of like creating a comfortable space for victims as well. I mean, there was a point at the beginning where we had people coming forward, and I think putting a face would have made it very intimidating. I mean, like people, for example, people like to speak to paper because it doesn't judge. And I think to a certain extent, we want it to be a page that doesn't judge. So even to educate as well as to advocate and to also help find like resources. I mean, like we just wanted to make it like a communal space, you know.
Like what Chiaz was saying before about people wanting to blame your looks or whatever, taking away that scapegoat that they often use to run away from these conversations is really key to exposing them to their own tactics, if that makes sense. Because at some juncture in time, it just starts to look ridiculous to attack a bunch of random girls because you don't know who the people are who are behind an anonymous organization, or to call people sluts. And it just shows you that this is what you run to, and that in itself is wrong.
Because the fact that now we said we started anonymously, so why now have we decided to come out to reveal ourselves? Yeah.
Well, so anyways,
okay, why? Okay, hold on.
Basically,
why aren't we anonymous anymore?
For me, I think like coming out from the anonymous category that we were in will allow us to interact with like communities in a way that, okay, like forums, also going out and doing like volunteer stuff, raising money like for the causes that we want to raise money for. It just like allows us to get a lot of outreach. Obviously, you know, the pandemic is doing things, but that's we really hope to ultimately achieve that level of outreach within the Zimbabwean community. Coming out is really beneficial.
Another thing, you know, at some juncture, it's not going to matter anymore how people react to what we say. I think now our anonymity has achieved what it needed to achieve. People needed to feel the force of the consequences of their actions without being able to fight back at someone's looks or someone's blazer or whatever they wanted to fight back at.
In addition to all of that, I think for me, it's also bringing in an element of the fact that we are humans. And I think that's something that we'll be able to communicate through the podcast and through the YouTube channel. Like, for me personally, I like to go out, I like to have fun. That doesn't mean that I don't deserve rights and I don't deserve safety. Like, and I feel like when we're posting on Instagram or on Twitter or on a blog, it's easy to say that it's wrong to assault people and sound like a perfect person who is never in a situation where those people who ask questions might ask questions. We are those exact same people, and we're saying that we still deserve rights. And I think that's a very important conversation to have, that I might enjoy living my life in a way that you might think, oh no, she deserves bad things, but I don't. And that's what people need to understand.
I think that someone said my point, but like I just wanted to like say that amongst other things, our point has been made. Like what we're trying to achieve is out there. There's no misconceptions about whether we're a gossip column or whether Nashe is doing this to get back at this, or Sav is doing this because she hates a blazer. Like, no, you know what we're here for, and we're not here for that. And if people choose to like perceive what we're trying to do differently, that's their problem. I think we made the point by excluding ourselves, but now that the point is made, we can show the humanity that Shungu was talking about.
So now that we have come out, now that we're coming out and everything, and we have established who we are as an organization, what exactly do we want to gain from it?
I think we agreed that one of the things that we wanted to do was a more tangible approach to positive change and impact communicatively. And so I think one thing that we really wanted to gain was to be able to have workshops and fundraisers and all that. Unfortunately, we can't because of COVID, but I think it's something that we've opened the door to now, and it's something that we can plan for in the future when it's safer to do so. And that's something that I'm really excited about, that I think we can do more freely now. And it also allows us to collaborate with other people and, just reach more platforms with our message, which is really cool because we're reaching more and more people.
I want to grow firmer, in my opinion. Like, to be able to stand on a public platform, like physically or virtually, I don't know what it has to be, like, and to know that this is what I stand for, this is what I believe in, and, you're not going to change my mind, because there's times when you want to please the crowd. You want to make everyone happy. You want to accommodate for this person. You want to accommodate for that person. But then you have to acknowledge that accommodating isn't going to fix permanent problems. Like accommodating for someone's feelings isn't going to get the job done. In order to get the job done, you have to get your message across clearly. So that's what I'm hoping to gain from all of this.
Personally, I feel like what I think I want to gain is just more exposure. I think not in terms of like being educated. I think there's a lot that you can never be fully educated on something, and I feel like the one thing that this organization has had is made me more educated than I was, and I feel like that's what I want to gain more of, being more educated.
I think also it's to start a different type of conversation where people have the guts. Like, for example, we had a lot of DMs within the period where we were anonymous that I'm very sure we would not have gotten if we introduced our faces to begin with.
Yeah.
And now I think those DMs hopefully will continue. That people who are wrong, right, like to be wrong and not called out. Right.
Yeah.
But also
they don't like to be held accountable.
They don't know. Yeah, they also like to be wrong in the shadows. So to people who they don't know, we're trying to start a conversation where we say, it's fine, you can be wrong. That's the sort of conversation that we want to have. Where it's like you come and you say, you know what, I want to learn. But then also, we're like, we want to teach as well. But also, there's Google.
That's Rumbi's motto, but also there is Google.
I think like what with the personal things, also like the things that are not personal, it's like getting more people like a wider reach, because right now we have reached people in our spheres, our circles of like influence and stuff. But like I think going out to like hopefully if after Auntie Rona decides to leave, but like going out into wider, bigger, larger communities, like the rural areas, because those people are still like restricted. They still are ruled by like patriarchal decisions and everything, and like just opening them up to the conversation as well. Because I think sometimes I don't know, personally, I don't think it's a conversation if it's only restricted to certain people, if that makes sense. Like literally it's a group chat, but it needs to be opened up to more people to actually join the link and be in the group and be involved as well. So I think that's one of the things I hope to gain in this.
What I want to do, I want to make people shy. Like there's someone who said during the George Floyd era, I don't even know what to call it, that time after the shooting, right? Someone said, if they're kneeling on necks in broad daylight, imagine what they're doing in schools, in offices, in hospitals, right? If people are discussing rape, making jokes about it on Twitter, what are they doing in their homes? What are they doing in schools? What are they doing in their places? Like, I feel like I have a strong problem with people feeling so comfortable being evil in public. And it scares me to think of what they do in private.
I think we should also, like another goal is to spread that message that it's not going to happen overnight. I do the exact same thing that Jane is doing. And you really have to be like, no, Not in here, because you were raised your entire life in a society that taught you to think certain things. It's not going to go away one night, and you're not supposed to run away from those thoughts and convince yourself that you're not that person, because that's just not how life works. And I also think it's important. I think people may think because we are not in the president's office getting him to sign new legislation, we're useless.
Yes.
That one person that we've convinced to start a conversation with their friends, that's enough. That's a lot. And that's precisely the point.
Nashe touched on something that I think we should go deeper into, which is how being a part of this organization, specifically We're Not Broads, has affected us. And
So I think like as a group, some of us really want to say stuff like when something happens on Twitter and stuff, we really want to go and say no, but it's like this and that. But now because of being in this organization, we have been forced to actually go look for your facts, come back and like put it there without being aggressive, because we encourage discussion, like what Jane was saying before arguments. So there's that. And I think also on a personal level, I think it was good to see now like where I was going wrong, where I had been involved in pick me culture, or where I was basically doing what we're talking about and correcting myself in that. And also seeing that sometimes it's better for you to to be surrounded by people who understand what you're saying.
I think it also, like a positive effect of it is you've had to learn to be human in the way you approach people and the way you approach the way you think about things yourself, because it's very easy to look at people and call them misogynists automatically or call them pick-me's automatically, especially when you analyze the fact that some of the things you believe are not because you went and researched it. You just had the privilege of growing up respecting women. Others have to break past that wall of this is how I've always been taught to see things, and actually go and research and take that active step to being more informed. So having to take those steps, even though it's not necessary if you don't have a page like ours, it really helps to put you in the shoes of the people you're trying to reach out to. And it helps you to be more careful about how you address people.
It's made me very sensitive. Like I've always been very sensitive to these things. I just didn't know what to do with the sensitivity. It's made me very sensitive to the things that people say. It's made me very sensitive to how people behave. Like for me, it's impacted my home life. My mother and my brother like sit down and watch TED Talks and listen to me speak, because it's one of those things where I'm like, it's fun in games to talk to. How many followers do we have? 1,035 people, and have them say what they feel, right? But it's another thing to actually impact people around you in your circle.
I think something else that I think I really learned from WANB is I've become a much more responsible person, like in general, because just despite the fact that it looks pretty and it looks cute, we actually have to do a lot to make sure that that content comes out the way it does. I'm doing it with my friends, yes, but we still spend a lot of time doing a lot of research and a lot of work, and we put our hearts and souls into it. And because of that, we cannot afford to lose time. And I feel like I couldn't have done that if I was the person I was 2 years ago. I definitely couldn't have. And if I didn't have the friends I have now, I definitely couldn't have done that. I've just become a more responsible person now because of this space.
It's helped like unmask a lot of things, because like from the moment we started, like the day we started, like the amount of backlash, people saying, oh my gosh, it's just a word, oh, we are not owns, like, and these are people whose contacts I have, so I'm like, wow,
you're seeing their statuses personally. That's
literally,
that's
so it's
another
like
thing.
You haven't even opened your eyes. You haven't even taken the time to understand why. And I'm like, and it's very funny because some of these people are your friends, your homies. You'll be like, us guys finish last all the time. We're always respecting women. And I'm like, but you can't even respect my wish for me not to be called abroad. Like, Are you
Day
okay?
16. It's not that hard. It's not that
So
hard.
it's one of those, it has really opened my eyes and like educated me to like just be like, just because someone is putting up this like front, behind closed doors, they're this person, or just making me aware that there are so many people. I think I've seen a lot of thoughts come out now because you say one thing and you just see a different thing.
On that note, I think we're done here. Thank you guys for watching or listening.
Is
Join
that a
us
win?
next
We
time
hope that you
for
want to be
me.
part of our journey. Okay. Yeah.
Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to slam the subscribe button.